Welcome to the Workplace Minute, powered by H3HR Advisors and sponsored by Paychex, one of the leading providers of HR, payroll, retirement, and software solutions for businesses of all sizes. My name is Steve Boese. U.S. workers facing an unexpected post-pandemic challenge: increased loneliness. More Americans are profoundly lonely, and the way they work, often remotely and more digitally linked but less personally connected, is increasing the sense of isolation. Employers and researchers are just beginning to understand how workplace shifts over the past 4 years are contributing to what last year the U.S. Surgeon General declared a loneliness health epidemic. And this alienation affects both remote and in-person workers. Some examples of how changes in working conditions and arrangements are driving increased loneliness. 1. More than 40% of fully remote workers polled in a 2023 survey of working parents said they go days without leaving the house. 2. Those who work in office spend nearly a quarter of their time in virtual meetings, while face-to-face meetings account for only 8% of their time, according to data from real estate company Cushman & Wakefield. 3. Americans have tripled their time spent in meetings since 2020, data from Microsoft show, leaving less time for casual interactions that many scientists say foster happiness at work. And 4, among over 100,000 people using the professional coaching platform BetterUp, since 2019, 68% of them said they knew their coworkers on a personal level, but that's down from nearly 80% 5 years ago. It's a major shift from a decade ago when connections made at work helped compensate for declining participation in churches, community groups, and other social institutions. And as the American worker becomes more digital and often remote, the number of U.S. adults who call themselves lonely has climbed to 58%, and that's up from 46% in 2018, according to a recent Cigna poll of 10,000 working Americans. The disconnect is driving up employee turnover and worker absences, making it a business issue for more employers, executives and researchers say. Cigna estimates that loneliness is costing companies as much as $154 billion a year in absenteeism alone. But one challenge for organizations concerned about worker loneliness is that counterintuitively, meetings can make people feel even lonelier, and even more so if the meetings are virtual, some researchers say. A 2023 survey by employee experience company Perceptix found people who described themselves as very lonely tended to have heavier meeting loads than less lonely staff members, and more than 40% of those people spent more than half of their working hours in meetings. Other data show that less formal workplace interactions are actually more beneficial to counter feelings of loneliness. Office small talk, sometimes an unwanted distraction, seems to provide more benefits than many people realize, according to research from Rutgers University. In a study of 100 employees at different workplaces, the researchers surveyed participants at points throughout the day. They found that those who engaged in more small talk reported less stress and more positivity towards their coworkers. Even exchanging pleasantries with a coworker who you barely know can help combat isolation, other researchers have found. But such interactions are substantially harder to replicate in virtual environments. And further complicating the matter is that there appear to be diminishing returns from increasing time spent in person, according to data from Workalytics, a company who analyzes workforce data for Fortune 500 companies. Coming in once a month provides a significant boost in employee ties. 2 or 3 times a month adds a little more, the data show. Once or twice a week results in a smaller increase, though, and working in person 4 or 5 days a week makes almost no difference in personal connection strength. As organizations continue to wrestle with the best or optimal mix of in-person and remote working, and the amount, duration, and frequency of choosing to meet virtually versus getting together in person, a better understanding of the level, prevalence, and intensity of worker feelings of loneliness and isolation, and the subsequent costs to people, their mental health, and to the organization must all be considered. While the pandemic at times can feel like it is well in the past, the ongoing and lingering effects of that level of disruption are proving to be persistent, and if we're not careful, perhaps permanent. We will continue to cover the important topics and trends in the world of work here on the HR Happy Hour Media Network. That's it for the Workplace Minute, powered by H3HR Advisors.